Zen Jiu Jitsu, from confused white belt to confident blue belt by Oliver Stark. I just finished reading or listening to this audio book, Zen Jiu Jitsu, and yeah, it was really good. Now, even if you don't do martial arts, I just recommend listening to this anyway, because it was a good lesson on how to get your mindset ready for a long journey into mastering a certain skill. Now, I've been training jiu-jitsu for 8 months now, and I've done martial arts all my life, so I've done many different things, from karate to kung fu, capoeira, arnis, many different martial arts, and I've kind of been a jack of all trades, master of none. With jiu-jitsu though, what I find, I'm very drawn to jiu-jitsu just because of firstly, most of the martial arts I've done have been stand-up martial arts, striking martial arts, and if you know me, you know I love martial arts. It's like my main passion. With grappling or ground fighting, which jiu-jitsu is, there's so many different variables, there's so many different moves, and also it's about leverage. It's not about strength. It's not about strength, speed, agility. All that stuff is great, but a smaller person, it really is the martial art where a smaller person can be a bigger person, and I experience this a lot. You know, I'm quite a big guy, and I get beaten by guys half my size, you know, women as well, you know, half my size, and even people who've had less experience in the martial arts than I have. Maybe they've been training jiu-jitsu 2 years, I've been training since I was 8 years old, yet in jiu-jitsu they absolutely dominate. It's a very technical martial art, it's all about technique. But one thing I really love about it is a system of mastery. That's really, there's a culture in jiu-jitsu that's really centered on mastery, and it's something that it's part of my main motivations, because I don't know if you know about the 4 M's of motivation. There's mastery, mating, movement or momentum. Mastery is like my main motivator. I'm motivated by mastering skills, and I also like variety. That's why I've done many different martial arts. I always subscribe to Bruce Lee's philosophy of there is no perfect martial art. You need to adapt the best things from many different things and adapt it in your own style. But at the same time, I think it's important to have a level of mastery over the martial art or any skill that you do. With jiu-jitsu, what I found is it really, more than any other martial art I've done, it is really centered on this journey of mastery. It's not about handing out belts. It's not about, the belt system is great as well. Like when you finally earn your blue belt, it's quite an achievement. Like at my academy, there's people who've been blue belts or white belts for 2, 3, 4 years, you know, and they're still persisting. Whereas like a lot of other people give up because they haven't been handed this piece of cloth, and it's like the piece of cloth is just supposed to be a representative of the level that you're at. So, but what you find in jiu-jitsu is if you're a white belt, you won't beat a blue belt. I mean, you might get lucky and beat them once or twice in a sparring session, but out of 100 times, you might only beat them once or twice. They will consistently tap you out. And it's the same with the purple belts. The purple belts will beat the blue belts the same way. The brown belts will beat the purple belts the same way, and the black belts will beat the brown belts in the same way. And then there's levels of black belts. And I just find it really fascinating, and it's just amazing to watch and how high level the skill level is at my gym anyway. And I've kind of seen this in the jiu-jitsu culture. Like it's really centered on the skill, and I just love watching the black belts because and when you fight against them, there's nothing you can do to them. Like there's nothing I can do to any of the black belts. They just completely destroy me. They've got so much knowledge and so much skill and so much mastery over the art. It's just fascinating, and it's a level that I really want to get to. So I've never achieved a black belt in any martial art that I've done, but jiu-jitsu is something I'm sticking with. I definitely want to achieve the black belt in that, you know, and it's going to take me at least 10 years probably. I mean, if it happens any quicker, I'll be impressed with myself. But you know, it's not even about that. It's more about the time, energy, effort that you put into it. So I'm just mastering the consistency of training, because what I would do is I would train, like I was training arnis before, so I would train that like for a concentrated period of time, maybe 4 or 5 months, and then I would stop for a year, and then I'd come back and do 4 or 5 months, and I'd stop for a year. And I found I wasn't really motivated to keep training, even though I love Arnis and I had some great trainers and great training partners. Same with other martial arts, capoeira and other things that I've done. But there's just something that draws me to jiu-jitsu. It's kind of as well the raw nature of sparring. When you're sparring with people, you're literally on the verge of being choked out, of being choked to death, or being or passed out, should I say. Or your arm broken, or your leg broken, or something. The only thing that's stopping that is the fact that you tap to say that you give up. So you're in that real simulation of combat, but without actually being in combat. So I'm really drawn to it for those reasons. But there's so many different variables, and there's so many different ways to win. I find in jiu-jitsu that it's just amazing. But it's quite a journey. It is really quite a journey. It feels like a journey of mastery. It really does. The more you learn, the more you realize you don't know. I've watched so many videos on jiu-jitsu, and I watched the UFC obviously, and I'm a big martial arts fan, so I've known about jiu-jitsu for a while. And I trained MMA at the same gym that I was training at, so I did a bit of grappling there, learned a bit of jiu-jitsu within MMA. But it's just amazing to actually do it and to actually feel. The more that you learn so much, and then the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know. There's so many levels to it, and I've heard that a lot of people get the blue belt blues, so they get to blue belt and they say that blue belt is the longest period of time of your training other than black belt. A lot of people quit a blue belt, maybe because it's not happening quick enough for them, or because they reach plateaus and things like that. When you're at white belt, it's a bit more exciting, it's new, and you've got so much to aspire to, etc. And I felt this book was really good because it was all about the mindset. Even though it wasn't really about techniques, although he did mention a lot of techniques, it was and strategies to play in your jiu-jitsu game. It was more about the mindset of training and of consistency and of pushing past these plateaus and barriers, which I think is essential for life anyway. One thing I find when you're doing jiu-jitsu, when you're in everyday life, you can handle certain pressures a lot easier because it's hard to explain, but because you've been through those kind of Wednesday night, you've been rolling with guys and girls as well that are choking you and arm barring you, and you having to go through all this adversity. So it kind of conditions your mind to get stronger and tougher. So when you're in the work world or social world, you kind of deal with pressures a lot better. You're a lot more calm and mellow about things, less quick to get angry about things. That's what I find anyway. A lot of jiu-jitsu people are very nice, very mellow. It's one of actually the most friendly environments in the martial art environment that I've been in. Most martial arts environments are great. The guys are really friendly, everyone's really cool. But I just felt there's even another level with the jiu-jitsu community anyway. My gym anyway, so London Fight Factory where I train. This book, it was one thing I really took from this book that I felt was like a gem, was he was saying that it's important to keep a diary. And like I said, that you're learning so much, and it makes so much sense to actually keep a diary of what you learn. So I've started doing that now. I've got like a diary on my phone, well, a notepad on my phone. I always take notes on my phone. And I've started to note down what happened in class and what I went through. So BJJ training diary. So I got like a little training diary of what happened in like class. So the last class was on the 28th of April 2017. It was a Friday. Trained Guy. The instructor was Marcelo, and I put what I learned, the lessons I learned, the techniques that I learned, the training partners, so the different people I was training with, the positions for specific training, how specific training or sparring went, the energy levels, how I was feeling, did I have high energy, did I have low energy. That day I had quite low energy, I was quite tired, I didn't feel like going, but I'm glad I did go. I need to watch my diet because I got the LFF Cup tournament in 2 weeks, which is our inter-club tournament that is hosted every year. So that's going to be my first jiu-jitsu tournament that I'm going to take part in. Looking forward to that. And then the start and finish session and time session. So it started at 7 and finished at 8:30. So I've started doing that and like writing down the techniques. Oh yeah, this today we learned omoplata. I struggled getting the grip or closing the guard, or my training partner gave me a little tip onto hip heist, just to make sure that my position is right. These little things. And I think about it when I go to the gym. That's exactly what I do. I write down like what I did in terms of how much I lifted, what exercises I did, how many reps, how many sets. And it should be no different in jiu-jitsu. So if you train jiu-jitsu, I think that's a good tip, just to keep a diary so that you can look back at it and then you can refer to what you learn, also who you learn it from and where you are, so you're seeing like if it was a good week, why it was a good week, if it was a bad week, why it was a bad week, what you learned, what you could improve on, and you see like patterns. So I've been doing that for a little while now, actually a couple of weeks, because I started listening to that audio a few weeks ago, and then I stopped, and then I started back on it this week and finished it this week. I just found that that's a really useful tool to your training. And just on that note, the book was all about like prepping your mind for the journey of mastery. My next two books I'll be reading are these two. This book, The Story of Michael Jordan, The Life by Roland Nasbury. This is a really good book. I mean, it shows you like how, we look at people like Michael Jordan and put him on the pedestal. Oh, he's this amazing guy. He's just a normal human being. He had struggles. He was just a normal guy. He was dropped from his high school basketball team. No one really, when he was coming up, no one really saw him as the superstar that he was going to be. It was only at a certain stage where that happened, and his attitude and his persistence and his willingness to listen to his coaches, and to be humble, even though he was outwardly cocky, he was inwardly humble. He'd listen to whatever they said and he would apply it, and he was consistent with his training. This kind of stuff, you take that from people when you read their biographies, rather than just listen to the news that tells you, oh, this person's gifted and talented and all this nonsense. And this book, Mastery, is, I think, I've started reading this properly as well, in conjunction with the Michael Jordan book. So I'll be reviewing these two books. I wrote this one by Robert Greene. One thing I found with this is it's just great because it's debunking the myths of what masters are. Like people like Michael Jordan, he's an example of a master, and how people like to say, oh, these people are gifted and talented and it's genetic, the reason they're so good, and actually how a lot of people use that as an excuse to excuse their own shortcomings, to not master whatever they want to do in life, to actually there's something that we all have, a natural inclination. He talks about that, to do something. Like with me, it's martial arts, and hence why I'm talking about jiu-jitsu, and why I read that book or listened to that audio book, and why that's a part of my journey. Realize right now I'm a white belt. I'm not great at jiu-jitsu, but I'm improving every week. Small little improvements every week. I'm sure when I do get to that black belt stage, I'll have a lot of people say, oh, you're amazing, blah, 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 blah. Maybe they won't, I don't know. But, when you're at that kind of level, especially with the high standards that they have in jiu-jitsu for the belt system, when you're at that level, you are a master of you're at that expert level, that mastery level of the art. So I want people to see this video when I'm a black belt and realize, actually, just like you, I started off as someone who didn't know what I was doing. I trained consistently. That was the only differentiating pattern. The same with all the guys and women that train jiu-jitsu who reach a high level, who reach black belt level. It's not a magic pill. It's not an innate talent or gift or athleticism or luck or all the other excuses that people like to say about people who are good at stuff. It's because of a personal commitment to long-term success. That's something that you innately are drawn to. Like I'm innately drawn to martial arts. For you, it might be something else, but not to let people or society like dampen that. You have to go for that and enjoy what you do, and do it daily or weekly at least. Do it consistently. Understand that you're not going to be good at first, so you have to. That's what was great about that book. The book is great because it goes through that beginning stage of jiu-jitsu where a lot of people fall off the wagon because they're wondering why they're not good. And it's like, well, of course you're not good. You just started this, And I was talking to one of the black belts at my academy, and I said to him, What's your advice for someone like me who's just started on the journey and wants to be where you are now? Wants to be like, he was a really good black belt. He said, just keep doing it. That's it. Just don't quit. Just keep training, keep turning up, keep training, keep going through it. He said there were so many times when he wanted to quit, so many times we saw other people zooming past him who had more talent, quote unquote, but they quit. He didn't. And he's the black belt and they're not. He said there were so many sessions but he didn't know what he was doing. He just thought, oh, am I ever gonna get this? You know, why can't I do these moves? Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? But he said the one thing was just to keep doing it, and eventually you'll get there, and it's not even like you've reached a destination, but you'll reach a certain level of where it's just part of you. You know, it just becomes instinctual. Whereas like at the moment I'm thinking about the moves. Okay, what am I doing? I'll get stuck in a certain position. Like for him, it's just part of his genes. It's now part of his genes because he's done it so much. He doesn't have to think about it. It's just like, okay, I'm in this position, that doesn't work, I'll just do this, I'll just do that. But that's a level of mastery that comes from practice, consistent practice for years and years and years. That's the only way people become great at things, and I think that's why society admires that. Especially in today's society, everyone's so ADD. Everyone's got a microwave mentality. They just want it now. And it's very rare that people are good at things, and because of that, he'll reach that kind of level of mastery at certain skills because people are too ADD, because people want, you know, I'm as guilty as that as anyone. I'm talking to myself now as well. So it's important to realize that it's a journey of complete practice, not just celebrating your wins, but acknowledging your defeats and seeing your plateaus and how you get past them, and accepting that there will be plateaus and that you will struggle, and that there will be times where you don't feel like you're progressing, but just to keep moving forward. I definitely recommend it. If you're doing jiu-jitsu, you know, download the audio. It's a nice little audio to listen to, or get the book. I'll give it 4 out of 5. It's a great book, especially for people, like I said, beginning jiu-jitsu. That's who it's for. But even if I think even if you're more advanced, I think it's still worth listening to, because maybe you're at a stage where you're reaching a plateau in your game, and just to remind you of, you know, what jiu-jitsu is all about, really. So yeah, definitely recommend it. I got a lot from it, so yeah, definitely give it a go. So you like this video, like, share, subscribe, check out my other videos on the channel, comment down below, let me know your thoughts on this video. If you train jiu-jitsu, let me know any progress that you've been having, and I'll see you on the channel for some more book reviews.